American airmen in Britain today made their biggest attack to date on Germany. For available details and for an interview with one of our Thunderbolt pilots, Admiral Radio takes you now to CBS London, Charles Shaw reporting.
The United States Air Force has just completed the greatest aerial daylight operation of the war. A bulletin on the operations, received within the hour, says heavy bombers of the 8th Air Force attacked major units of the German fighter aircraft industry. They were escorted by American, British, Canadian, and other Allied aircraft. Possibly more than 1,500 airplanes were over Germany today, including more than 800 bombers. Prior to today, there were no major American raids on German targets this week, but that doesn't mean that the Germans had a rest. Out went the fleet deadly Thunderbolt Thunder bombers, fighter planes equipped with bombs to blast enemy planes on the ground to knock them out of the skies. The Thunder bomber is used most effectively as a dive bomber, actually an invention of the United States, but popularized by the Germans in the early days of the war. Our Thunder bomber version of the dive bomber was introduced in this theater last December by a group commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Glenn E. Duncan, a 25-year-old resident of Houston, Texas, holder of the DSC, DFC, the Silver Star, and Air Medal. Colonel Duncan, what would you like to tell us mainly about your job?
Well, the P-47, or the Thunder Bomber as we call it, is just another means of raising Cain with the Hun. The Thunder Bomber was planned primarily as a fighter plane for the protection of bombers, but American ingenuity resulted in the present use of the plane. It was thought that the P-47 should be a high-altitude plane, operating no lower than 20,000 feet, but we soon decided that we didn't have to just patrol the substratosphere. There was skepticism at first as to whether we could hit anything with our bombs. They learned differently since. The Thunder Bomber, as a fighter, is a threat to the enemy in the air. But if Jerry wants to hide, if he won't come up and fight, we blast him out of the ground.
Well, I take it your main bombing targets are airfields.
Well, not necessarily. Just at the present time. We pick out dispersals, hangars, and other buildings on enemy fields, and we can do pinpoint bombing. Even though the Thunder Bomber is not a formal dive-bombing ship, our pilots are good enough to go down and carry out their missions with precision. And I can't say enough for those pilots. I've seen them line up to volunteer for missions, regardless of how dangerous they may be, or whether they may have experiments on new tactics. If they can keep getting the equipment, they'll surely use it to advantage.
Well, do you have reason to believe that the enemy dreads your approach?
When they see us coming, they're even scared to taxi their planes. The Hun used to think that he was safe from the P-47 if he could get away from high altitude and go down low. But we continue down with him now, even though we're well inside his home territory, and catch him at minimum altitude or on the deck.
Well, Colonel, what change does it make for pilots to perform dive bombing instead of using their planes as straight fighters?
If you give the pilots the idea they're going to tear the hell out of the Hun, they can adjust themselves to any idea. They want to fight. The more weapons they have, the more they'll fight.
Well, thank you, Colonel Duncan.